Who walks into a doctor's office. He has a cucumber up his nose, a carrot in his left ear, and a banana in his right ear. And he says to the doctor, "What's wrong with me?" Doctor says, "You're not eating properly." Another man went to see his doctor because he was suffering from a miserable cold. His doctor prescribed some pills, but they didn't help. And the next time, his doctor gave him a shot, but that didn't do any good. The third visit, the doctor said to the man, "Go home, take a hot bath. When you get out of the bath, open all the windows and stand in front of the draft." "But doc," the patient says, I'll catch pneumonia." Doctor says, "That's fine, I can cure pneumonia." How many of you have ever made a doctor's appointment, and by the time you get there, whatever was troubling you is long gone, right? I used to have that all the time with the kids. I'd make the appointment, and by the time I get there, they're running around like crazy people because they were feeling just fine. If you have overall good health, it's not so bad going to the doctor. When you take care of yourself, when you eat right, when you exercise, when you stay away from the wine, all those things that don't sound like a lot of fun at all, you have a pretty good chance of not needing a doctor too often. But when you follow a lifestyle that isn't conducive to good health, then the doctor is a necessity. And that's what Jesus is referring to here. He's at a party, a large dinner, it says, a place normally we wouldn't associate with good, healthy eating, but nonetheless, he's at this party, but it's where the party is and who he's dining with that have some of his critics shaking their heads. He's been invited to a party at Levi's house. And you probably are saying to yourself, "Who's Levi?" You probably better know him as Matthew. Same person. Matthew is the tax collector, one of the most hated men in the whole country. He takes the money from everyone, but particularly the Jews, and he gives it to the Roman regime, the same regime that has subjugated them and caused the Jewish people misery. But not only did Levi, or Matthew, take a percentage of the money that they earned for the government, tax collectors were notorious for charging just a little bit extra and skimming some off the top for their own bank accounts. Perfectly odious creatures. Few redeeming qualities would be the general consensus. Added to all of that, Matthew was a Jew. He was one of them, and he was doing it to them. For one Jew to do this to another, unheard of, and he would have been hated. So Jesus at a party with Matthew and a whole bunch of other tax collectors raised more than a few eyebrows, and the Pharisees were particularly vocal about their condemnation of this event. But notice what it says. These Pharisees and these religious leaders, they complained to the disciples. They didn't come right to Jesus to address their issues. The Pharisees and their religion scholars came to his disciples greatly offended, is what it says in our scripture. How often do we see that happen? Someone is unhappy with something that's going on in their condo, in their family, in their church, and rather than going straight to someone who might be able to help or do something about it, or what seems to be the source of the problem, they'll grumble about it to their neighbors or to other family members. "Do you see what he's doing? I'm so unhappy about the way she's handling things. Don't they know that's not how we do that around here? He's changing things again. I don't like it. What do you think? Oh, why don't you say something to her?" But here's what Jesus does. He nips this right in the bud. It says Jesus heard about it and spoke up. He didn't go to the disciples and try and convince them to go back to the grumblers. He faces the Pharisees head on with their concerns. You get better results that way as a general rule. Jesus takes their criticism and offers up an explanation that maybe needs a little unpacking for us. Who needs a doctor, the healthy or the sick? I'm here inviting outsiders, not insiders, an invitation to a changed life, changed inside and out. He's saying that these Pharisees, these healthy ones, the insiders, are not the ones that are his primary focus. He really isn't all that interested in associating with them, precisely because they think they are healthy. They think they don't need what Jesus is offering. Anyone else in that society would be honored and flattered to be invited to dinner with the Pharisees, the leaders of the synagogue, the esteemed teachers of the law. They held a position of power and prestige. It would be like us being invited to dine with the moderator of General Assembly, or the mayor, or Prime Minister Trudeau, no matter what your politics are. But no, Jesus says, I'm here for the sick, the outcast, the marginalized, the despised, these tax collectors. It would be like turning down that offer to dine with the mayor and instead saying to him, I'm going to go dine with this convict over here. And wouldn't that raise some eyebrows? He's telling them that he is much more interested in the outsiders, the ones who don't know him, the ones who don't know what he can mean for them. It's as if he's not much interested in the insiders at all. Churches can fall into the same mindset as the people of Jesus' time. We can get so caught up in keeping the inner circle, the ones who sit in the pews each week, happy. We will go out of our way to make sure that our members are comfortable, that we don't rock the boat, that we don't upset the apple cart too much because someone might be unhappy, might not like what we're doing. We can be so afraid of offending someone that we are paralyzed and we stop doing anything that might be the least bit innovative. And I can tell you a whole lot of churches where that's happening. And I'm sure that you can tell me exactly what's happening to those churches. Anyone? They're closing. Yeah. Jesus' message is not for the insiders. We get it. We know the value of knowing Jesus. We are fully aware of the difference that Jesus can make in our lives. But the people out there, the ones who don't know Jesus, the outsiders, they're the ones that need to know. Jesus calls them the sick, the ones who may not even realize they aren't healthy because they haven't seen a doctor. They haven't seen the great physician. They haven't been exposed to the healer, Jesus Christ. They don't even know about the message of eternal life. Those are the ones that Jesus wants to reach. Those are the ones he wants to have dinner with. That meal of bread and wine, flesh and blood, that feast of forgiveness and salvation, that's what he wants for them. We get it. We share our communion and we recognize the wondrous gift that we are given. They don't, and they never will. unless we step out in faith and tell them. Unless we open up opportunities, unless we have parties and invite Jesus into their midst. This week, we're going to do precisely that. We are inviting about 80 children and young people into the party that includes Jesus Christ. Our VBC is our opportunity to share the good news precisely with those who may not have heard of God. These children who may not have a background in faith, whose parents may never take them to church unless it's here. Some have called our PA Day VBCs and our summer VBCs just glorified daycare that they can't see the value in. But folks, I am here to tell you, this is the most invaluable, important work that we will ever do. Bringing the sick, the outsiders into the knowledge of Jesus Christ, giving them an opportunity to come face to face with the risen Lord. There is nothing better that we can be doing with our time and our money. It's not about us. It's not about our comfort. It's not about being safe in our little cocoon. It's about welcoming each child in our care and each parent that brings them. And little by little, there's a chance for changed lives. Jesus says we are offering an invitation to a changed life, changed inside and out. And one child by one child, things might begin to change. Because children have a way of bringing their parents to faith. If they're excited about Jesus, they're going to share it. If they are excited about what they're doing here, they're going to sing the songs ad nauseum. They're going to share their joy. They're going to share their experiences. They're going to tell the stories that they've learned and how happy they felt when they're here. And seeing that, parents are going to want to give them that over and over. And they may bring their children to church. But you know what? There's a chance that they won't. There's a chance that they will never darken our doors until the next VBC. They may never contribute to our offering plates. And that's okay too. Because in this place, in this week, they have been introduced to Jesus, the great physician. They will become acquainted with the peace that passes all understanding. They will learn of the promises of God for the people who know him. And isn't that worth a little uncomfortable for us? Surely we can see the value of trying something new when we know that there is a prospect of another child who will know that they are cherished, that they are loved, that they are valued, because that can change a life. I think we can all agree that knowing Jesus has changed ours. I'm going to end today with the story of a changed life. It's another doctor story. A middle-aged woman had a heart attack, was taken to the hospital. While on the operating table, she had a near-death experience. And seeing God, she asked, "Is my time up?" And God answered, "No, you have another 40 years, 2 months, and 8 days to live." Well, upon recovery, the woman decided to stay in the hospital, have a facelift, have liposuction, have a tummy tuck. Then she even had someone come in and change her hair color. She figured since she had so much time to live, she might as well make the most of it. And after her last operation, she was released from the hospital. She was crossing the road, was hit by a car, and died immediately. And she arrived in front of God, and she said to him, I thought you said I had another 40 years. Why didn't you tow me out of the path of that car? And God says, I didn't recognize you. Let's sing together. Breathe on me, breath of God.